Webinar here with Quest Trust Company. My name is Haley Gant, and I work very closely with the rest of our marketing team to help put on these webinars and events for you guys pretty much all across the US. I am really excited today to have with us the one and only Eddie Gant and Alex Biriak from Jet Lending here today to talk about the top tips to getting started with self-directed IRAs and self-directed IRA investing. So this will be a great topic for you guys. We're excited to have you all here. But before we get into today's main presentation, I do just have a couple of quick announcements for you guys, kind of let you know a little bit about who we are at Quest, some of our upcoming events that we have, and as well as some really important information about some proposed legislation that could definitely affect self-directed IRAs. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Really quick, who is Quest Trust Company? We are a self-directed IRA custodian. So at the core of our business, we basically help investors utilize those old 401ks or IRAs to learn how to invest in assets outside of the stock market. So our clients use their IRAs to buy real estate, do private lending, invest passively into multifamily and commercial deals. You name it, you can probably invest into it with an IRA. And we teach our clients how to do that, the whole process A to Z, and help you guys be successful as you're looking to diversify that wealth in your retirement account. We're based in Texas, but we do have clients pretty much all across the country. We operate in all 50 states, but please be aware of this disclaimer here at the bottom. Please be aware that at Quest, we do not give tax, legal, or investment advice. We put on a lot of education. We bring out a lot of different guest speakers, but just make sure you do your own due diligence before you enter into investments and make sure you're using professionals to structure your deals properly. Now, I have to cover this because it's so important. It's so relevant to us now. I will let you know these next couple of slides have a lot of text. I'm not going to spend too much time on them, but there is some new proposed legislation that could really have an impact on self-directed IRAs and the types of investments you would be able to hold within an IRA account. Now, if you guys check out the chat here in Zoom, I do have one of our other IRA specialists, Evan. He is online moderating with us today. Make sure to check out the link that he sends to you guys. It's our most recent blog post about this legislation and some of the ways that you can help reach out to your representatives in your districts to make some noise and hopefully either change this or put a stop to certain aspects of this bill. Now, this bill, some of this kind of like quick highlights here. Again, if you guys want these slides, you can watch the replay, you can reach out to us, but it would really impact your ability to build large amounts of wealth in an IRA. I'm going to pass over that, but most importantly, what's really going to affect a lot of investors is if this bill passes with the way that it sits now, it would basically prohibit any IRA from being invested into a private placement that involves the investor having to be accredited or meeting any sort of certain requirements to be able to invest into that private placement deal. So, a lot of our clients use their IRAs to passively invest into multifamily, commercial deals, startup companies. A lot of these entities get a lot of their capital from other people's self-directed IRAs. And this bill would essentially put a complete stop to that. So this is really important. It's going to affect not just the ultra wealthy out there, which is kind of what this was designed for, but it really will have a big impact on the average investor that is looking to invest their IRA into these non-traditional assets. And basically how this would work if this passes is after December 31st of this year, you would no longer be able to invest your IRA into a private placement deal. And even worse than that, if you have an existing private placement investment in your self-directed IRA, in 2023, this investment would lose its IRA status. So it would basically have to be distributed from the account at that point, which for most Americans out there would be a taxable event and have a 10% penalty if you're under 59 and a half. So we are really trying to get the word out as much as possible about this. There are still some ways that we can hopefully put a stop to this. Scan the QR code, or even better, just click on the link. It's a bit more updated from when we made these slides just about 4 or 5 days ago. So be sure to check out that link, reach out to your representatives. The best chance we have at stopping this is to make as much noise as possible and, hopefully let these senators and legislators know that there are a large amount of people that oppose this and hopefully get some changes to this bill. As updates come out, we will be updating you guys. We're hosting webinars about this. We're updating our blog on our website. So if you have questions, reach out to our team. We're more than happy to help answer them for you. But this is a pretty big deal. Nobody had any notice that this was really coming. So again, the best we can do is make some noise right now. But I just really want all of you guys to be aware of that. However, switching gears to something on a bit more of a lighter note, back to my maybe more traditional announcements that we give in these webinars, Quest does have a lot of upcoming events for you guys. It kind of feels weird to switch from something that serious to, hey, come to our social. But we do have some fun events coming up in the month of October. We have brought back our in-person mixers here in our Texas offices. We have rebranded these as the Self-Directed IRA Social. You can learn from some of our most popular educational classes that we're finally getting to teach in person again. We will continue to live stream these events online as well. So if you're not in Texas, you can still get access to these presentations. But if you are in Texas, come out and see us. It's definitely been a while. You can come to our Houston office on the first Tuesday of every month, Austin on the second Tuesday of every month, and we'll be kicking it off also in Dallas on the third Tuesday of every month. Once again, Evan is here in the chat for you guys. He'll post a link to our events page on our website, and be sure to check that out. We have a lot of really cool things going on. And I think I speak for our whole team whenever I say we put a lot of effort into hosting these events for you guys. So come out and see us. We'll be happy to host you, get you some drinks, get you some food, and you can come network with us as well. Now, today's webinar is just one of many classes that we host at Quest. You can find all of these replays on our YouTube channel. And we also host a really fun virtual networking happy hour. It's actually on the first and third Wednesday of every month. It's completely online. We get investors from all across the US that join us at every single happy hour. And it's really created a nice little network of IRA investors all across the US. So be sure to come join us for these events. These are all on our website. If you just go to questtrust.com, go to events, you can find them all right there. And again, if you ever have any questions, let us know, and we're happy to answer those for you. Now, we are at the end of the month, and guys, I'll be completely honest with you. Q3 of this year was our biggest quarter ever. It was our highest goals we've ever had to meet as a sales and marketing team here at Quest. And we have 2.5 days left, and we are extremely close to hitting our goals for the quarter, which is really exciting to all of our team. Now, even before this new legislation was proposed, we had planned to do this Roth Rush flash sale where we are waiving all account opening fees on Roth IRAs right now through the end of this month. Now, it's kind of ironically good timing because this tax bill that was just proposed, if it passes, could take the ability away from a lot of people to either have a Roth IRA just in general or to be able to do a Roth conversion. So guys, if you're a high income earner, if you don't have a Roth IRA, get one open now, because if this bill passes, you might lose your chance to even have a Roth IRA. So it's a really big deal. It's a big opportunity to build tax-free wealth. Eddie, I'm sure you'll probably touch on this a little bit in your presentation. If not, I'll ask you about it at the end. But guys, we're waiving those account opening fees for all Roth IRAs right now. We want you to be successful in your ability to build completely tax-free wealth. So take advantage of this. Help us hit our goals. We'll waive your account opening fee. And that's pretty much all I've got for my announcements. I had to shove a lot into 10 minutes right there, but I hope you guys are excited for today's class. I specifically asked Eddie to teach about this topic today because there's a lot of people self-directing IRAs, but there's not enough people out there that know about this topic. Eddie, you've been self-directing your IRA since 2004, which I think is really cool. It's kind of how I ended up at Quest. You guys might notice we do have the same last name. So guys, go ahead and take it away. I'll stop talking from here. And if y'all have questions, put them in the Q&A box and we'll be answering them throughout the presentation.
All right. Thank you. Eddie Gant with Jet Lending, here with my colleague. You got a name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alex Buriak.
Alex Buriak. We're going to scatter shoot. I got a cheat sheet here. I may or may not need it, but they wanted us to talk to you guys about, I guess, kind of what I kind of gathered was entry level getting started with your IRA for investment purposes. I don't think they want us to talk about how to fill out Quest paperwork and how to fill out a buy direction letter or sell direction letter. I don't think that's what they want.
How do you make money?
How you make money? How you make your IRA make some money?
Right.
Well, why are we here? How are we qualified? Well, I started this and flipping houses. I left my corporate job in June of '99. I'm over 1,700 houses purchased. I've still owned over 100 rentals. We started Jet Lending in '04. We've done how many loans?
We've done over 3,300 loans.
3,300 loans. Okay. And how many loans have you closed?
I closed 639.
639 loans. That's a lot of loans. Yeah, that's a lot of loans. And you came into this brand new. You didn't know the difference between a promissory note and a deed of trust and a warranty deed at that time, did you?
Still don't. No,
Still don't.
no.
Yeah.
But no, I was fresh. I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah. And we all were like that to a certain point. So, what we're going to talk about here is single family flips, single family holds long term, be a landlord. You can do both of those in your IRA. We're going to talk about buying notes. We're going to talk about maybe some bigger deals, buying apartments or being part of a group. A lot of people call that syndication.
Yep.
Apartment. We'll spend a little bit of time or a lot of bit of time on probably the biggest thing behind flips is using your IRA money as a lender.
Yeah. A lot of the people don't flip in their IRA. They lend to it.
They lend to it. That's right. Or lend out of it.
Yeah.
We talk about some kind of outside the box things, but Haley said, 04. I'm not sure she's right on that. I think that might have been when I got my Quest self-directed IRA, but I was with them before they were Quest. Intrust was the name of the company then. And what I did and what I think most of the Quest clients do is they have an old 401k that they leave their corporation. They either retire or they change jobs or they go self-employed. They do something. They take those corporate handcuffs off and they take that old 401k and they roll it into maybe a self-directed IRA with Quest.
Yeah.
And then they use that money to do what they want to do. And I've been to a lot of Quest events, and the primary client is a real estate investor.
Yes, sir.
And how many Quest clients do you think that we do business with? Just throw a number out there.
Lending or buying?
Either one.
It's a number that you can't even count. It's a low end is you're in the hundreds. Active today, maybe in the 70, 80s, current, like continually buying, but there are hundreds of them that come in that are either deploying their capital or using their capital or in some way or form investing in investment real estate.
Yeah. I can say this, there's no way I could have reached the heights that I've reached on mine. I have both a traditional IRA and I have a Roth IRA. There's no way I could reach the heights that I've achieved by investing in it in Coca-Cola.
No.
Investing in Exxon stock. You just can't do it.
No.
Now, those, not to say those are not good sound investments, but I'm not looking for that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8% return. I'm looking for something way bigger than that.
Right. And when you do things like that, you have to manage it yourself. You put into a mutual fund or something like that and making that low percentage, you may be doing less work, but this is the way to gain wealth.
Let's start with the number one thing that I think most of the Quest clients do, and that's flip single family housing.
Okay.
We're pretty entrenched in that. We've been in this crazy seller's market for a while. And I've been on public stage many times, and I say we're not getting out of it until interest rates go up.
Right.
What's your thoughts on that?
I agree, because as interest rate goes up, it affects the consumer market. There is a lag time within the consumer market that comes over the months and months and stuff like that. But once the consumer market changes, the investment market thus then changes, because different prices, different cost of funds, and things like that.
Yeah. Flipping single family houses, Houston, Dallas, Austin, outside Texas, wherever you are. The numbers change as dictated by the markets, and the amount of competition changes as dictated by the market. But when it gets down to it, a lot of the basics are still there. We were all taught early on how to buy a house, and you use the formula we've all heard: 70% times ARV, which if you don't know, that's after repaired value. That's what the house is worth fixed up. 70% times your after repaired value, or 65% times the after repaired value, and then subtract out the dollars you're going to spend on remodeling and repairs. And that gives you ballpark numbers that you should pay for a house as an investor. A quick example: if the ARV after repaired value is $200,000 and you have $20,000 in work that's got to be put in, which would be relatively a small job by our standards, paint and carpet, 70% times 200,000 is 140, minus 20,000, that's 120. Theoretically, that's about where you're going to need to be, plus or minus 5-10%. In today's market, in a good neighborhood, a brick neighborhood where there's a good high school, you may be a little above that number.
Right. And you know what, every time somebody comes to me from Quest and they're looking to deploy that capital, what was it for you to learn what questions how to underwrite somebody? And how do you find, as a lender, how do you find a deal with Quest when you're trying to give your money away?
Yeah. Well, let's go back to the flips before we get into the lending.
Okay.
Let's do that. Okay.
Okay.
Let's talk about the Quest client, or the potential Quest client, meaning they've got money at Quest right now. They just haven't done anything with it. It's sitting in the account, what I call dormant. Or that person just retired from Exxon and they got numbered thousands of dollars sitting in the old 401k over at Exxon, and then roll it over to Quest. Now they want to buy and flip a house and make some money, grow their IRA. The first step is, now I'm not talking about first step being get the account set up. I know Haley and her gang over can help you get your account set up and get the money from your old 401k over to Quest. But what are you going to do to find a house? Let's talk about that opportunity first. How do they find a deal? Well, you either find your deal through others, meaning what we call wholesalers in the industry, or you get a realtor and you look on MLS and look for deals on MLS. But really the way you find them is getting out in the old neighborhoods and beating the bushes, or spend a little bit of money marketing. Now, we have a lot of people come through this office to borrow money from Jet. How do you think most of them find their deals out there today?
Today, most of them, for the flips, I'm not seeing a ton of people find the wholesale deals as much anymore. The ones that they're doing a really good spread, they're finding them themselves. And in fact, there's a lot of people that once they flipped a house, people in the neighborhood then they say, "Hey, I'm selling my house," and things like that.
When you say they're finding themselves, you meant they spent money marketing and somebody called or emailed them, or they went around the neighborhood street?
Went around the neighborhood street.
And they're either knocking on doors or talking to neighbors or leaving a business card, a postcard on the door, or they're writing that address down and sending them a letter or something to that effect, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think they're mostly looking for houses that need work, or looking for vacant houses?
Vacant.
Yeah.
I mean, where the people that they call it driving for dollars, the people that are good, you see a house that's just dilapidated. Of course you write that address down and you'll have to try to skip trace and stuff like that. But the ones that are vacant and there's no cars in the driveway and stuff like that, there's an issue there. You know, grandma died, or I got to move to Jersey, or whatever the case. Remember, I tell my clients, nobody wants to sell real estate. They have to find out what the problem is and have a solution for that problem. And I see a vacant house as that be an easier solution.
I agree with everything you say, but I differ. I like an occupied house
You can go talk to them.
because it's easier to find the seller.
Yeah.
Because the person living in that house is either the owner
Mhm.
or knows the owner.
Right.
Okay. And if they know the owner, they're either a family member or they're a tenant
Mhm.
or they're just somebody that the owner allows to live there for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So it's a direct pipeline to get the seller on the phone. So I like them occupied. I like the garage door falling off. I like bad roofs.
Mhm.
I like the mini blinds are all just torn to hell
Mhm.
in the, you can see it, which means there's bad pets
Mhm.
in that house, most likely tearing. If they're tearing the mini blinds up, they're tearing everything
Yeah.
else up too.
Yeah.
In that house. So I like that. But you can't just go out. Well, you're going to be disappointed in your investment if you just go out there and start buying houses without a whole lot of training.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's right.
It's not rocket science, but you got to have a little bit of base knowledge.
Mhm.
And we know some people that will train you, but I'm going to tell you the best way to get trained in this business, in my opinion, is be on programs like this.
Mhm.
Go to every investor meeting you can go to. There's not as many as there used to be because of COVID, but there's one tomorrow night that I know of that I'm going to. There's one Thursday night that I know of that I'm going to.
Mhm.
And then ours, well, our big one, the Big Daddy meeting, which is the Jet Super Investor meetings, the third Wednesday.
Yep.
That's the biggest crowd of them all. And I'm not just saying that because it's our meeting. I'm saying it because it's true.
And it's going to be really big this one.
Yeah. And you go hang out with the people there and you hang out with the vendors.
Yeah. And I want to add one thing to that. You can do all that, but if you don't act, you'll never get the experience or learn.
Mhm.
You got to get the education and you got to act as well.
Mhm. Yeah. If you get properly trained, you're going to be, I don't want to say smooth sailing, but you're going to be sailing along pretty good.
Yeah.
If you go out there without training, it can burn you.
Mhm.
And I'll say this, because this is kind of one of the golden rules. If you're buying a single family house as an investment and your intent is to flip it
Mhm.
at a short time frame for profit and you pay too much, you're going to feel the sting. I like to say, you're going to feel the slap upside the head pretty quick.
Mhm.
You're going to feel that pain pretty quick
Mhm.
if you pay too much with the intent to flip it. If your intent is to rent that house and you pay too much,
Mhm.
you can recover.
Yeah. Over time, you're going to recover.
You
should.
recover.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's not a full transition into rental yet. There's still some things we want to cover on the single family flips, but your best deals are made in the living room and made sitting on the couch on the living room, sitting at the kitchen table, talking to the seller.
Mhm.
I'm not saying you can't find deals through wholesalers. I'm not saying you can't find deals on MLS. You can. But the way you really, I like to do this, my old baseball days, hit them out of the park. That's getting in the living room of sellers.
Because you've had a lot of experience being face to face, negotiating banks, sellers, borrowers. Would you recommend anything to get your mind right on how to negotiate with people? A book or a class or anything like that?
Well, there's multiple. The number one lesson is once you figure out real estate math,
Mhm.
the 70% I brought up, 65% I brought up minus repairs. Once you figure out the math part of it, the key to buying houses in that living room is the rapport building process
Mhm.
and solving the need that they have that they called an investor and not Remax that day.
Okay.
It's the rapport building. And there's a whole, we could teach all day on that, as you know. But that's the key to it. the key to getting in that living room or in that kitchen is spending a little money on marketing so they invite you there. And you can do that on your own. And the way I did it, and I'm still a franchisee of Home Investors, that we buy ugly house billboards. And this is, we're trying to do our best here to make this a teaching hour, not a sales hour. But if anybody out there is interested in a Home Investors franchise, we are sold out and been sold out for a long time, but I do have an office wanting to sell their franchise, so they can get in touch with Eddie Gant here, and I'll hook you guys up. Enough on that, because I don't want to turn it into a sales presentation. But what Home Investors does is we advertise, and it gets us in the living room and in the kitchen, for the large margin deals. And you can certainly do it on your own. People do direct mail. That's probably the big one. The skip tracing, that auto texting and auto voicemail, that stuff, but they better be careful.
Yep.
There's lawsuits are rampant. The TPCA law, I think they call it. You better be careful with that one, because it can get you sued out there in a hurry if you're not doing things right.
To tell the people, they're like, I got my money over Quest. I got a deal. I'm going to use this money to flip a house. What should they be aware of after they've repaired the property and now they sold it? How does that work? Where's the money go?
Well, let's take that example earlier. It's worth 200 and you bought it for 120. The funds from your IRA account go and fund the transaction at the title company, and Quest to help you with that paperwork. The owner of the property would be, and if I'm a little off, Quest folks, y'all correct me later. The owner of the property will be Quest Trust Company, account number 101787-01, FBO for the benefit of Julie Brown, okay, or whoever the person is. That's the owner of the property. The Quest IRA company owns the properties for your benefit, funds the 120, and then therefore would fund the repairs as well as needed. When you sell it for 200 several months later, the whole 200 goes back into the Quest account. Therefore, your IRA made whatever dollars of profit were made. In that example, your Quest IRA probably made $30,000, $40,000 in that example.
Right.
Kind of hard to go get that over a 3-month period from Coca-Cola stock, I'm going to say.
Right.
Okay. But this is an interesting one here. I just used an example, said your IRA paid $120,000. What if your IRA's only got $10,000? What do you do in that situation? Now, again, I'm going to talk about this, and if I say something wrong, Quest folks, y'all correct me later. But I believe what you can do, I'm going to change the numbers up so it make the example just a little easier. Let's say you're paying $100,000 for that property, and your Quest IRA only has $10,000. I believe, I've done it unless they've changed the rules, your Quest IRA can own 10% of that property, and then you personally can partner with your IRA, and you personally getting the money from wherever you want to get it. Wherever you have it, wherever you can get it, funds 90% of that transaction. And then as you go through that process and sell it, 10% of the proceeds, the original $10,000 and 10% of the profit goes back into the IRA, and your 90,000 goes back into pays back wherever you got the money from with that, and that profit's included there. So now you've taken a $10,000 IRA and you may have made that a $14,000 IRA value just by doing that. And you do that over and over and over till you build up your IRA funds. So you can partner with your own IRA. And I believe that to be true unless they change the rules. And I certainly hope I'm not giving out bad information here, but I believe that is the case.
We have a question off what you say. Isn't that actively participating?
You can ask the IRA company.
Yeah, I would ask them as the custodian.
I don't know what actively I'm participating.
Yeah,
I believe we're legally participating. I'll change the word. Okay. Right. So now rental property. There's a couple ways that you make money with rental property investing. You make money from the monthly cash flow if you have any. Okay, and you make money later when you sell it. Okay. And you make money later when you sell it because you sold it for more than you paid for the property, hopefully. And the property appreciated over the years. And you know, if you had debt on it, you paid the debt down. I don't own a lot of rental property with my IRA. I own some. I own a mobile home in Baytown with my IRA, and it rents for $850 a month. And I've owned it for a long time. I think I originally paid $20,000 for that mobile home, and my IRA purchased it. It's held in my IRA. And for 10 years, $850 has been going back into my IRA. So I had my money back in roughly 2.5 years. Okay. My IRA pays the taxes. My IRA pays the insurance. And any maintenance and upkeep my IRA pays for, but it's been pretty minimum. But that's a great example of an IRA thriving and growing and building through a rental property. And I paid $20,000 for it. I don't know the value today, but tell people where you really make money in the rental property business, because you know this. We've talked about
Appreciation.
it. Say it again real loud.
Appreciation.
Appreciation. That's where you make money. That mobile home is probably worth, because it's not just the dirt that it sits on. I own the dirt too. It's out there by the racetrack in Baytown. It's got to be worth $100,000 or more. And that's just appreciation of an asset. And it was probably worth more than 20 when I bought it. So it was probably worth 35 or 40 when I bought it. So we've gone from 35 or 40,000 in value up to, and I'm going to guess it's worth 100, 120. And that's through the power of appreciation. You know, for those of you that don't know this, it's a great conversation piece. 2019 and 2020. Now, these are not Jet Lending data. It's not Eddie Gant data, not Alex Buriak's data. It's his Houston Association of Realtors data. That it's the first back-to-back years of double-digit appreciation since they've been keeping the records. 2019, I believe, I'm ballparking it here, 11%-ish in appreciation average in Houston. That's for 2019. 2020 through COVID, it's 16 point something. That's crazy. Back to back. So if your IRA owned $1 million in property at the start of 19, that IRA balance, if you want to call it that, of a value of all your rental property would be over 1.25 million today, just through appreciation.
And that's where, like, a lot of people are like, well, I don't really think I want to hold real estate. You're missing the boat on the exponential increase over the years. Yeah,
absolutely. So rental property is a great investment, but it's a great investment not because of monthly cash flow. It's a great investment for appreciation. And I am a walking billboard for appreciation out there. And they're projecting the year-end numbers this year to be similar to, if not better than and higher than, the 2020 numbers for appreciation. That's incredible.
And you know, the cool, if you hold it in your IRA, you can do whatever you like with it. You can do short-term rentals, you can do long-term rentals, you can do whatever you want, and you're not bound by any covenants with your lender.
That's exactly. That's a big buzzword out there now, short-term rentals. They used to call them vacation rentals, and they still do. But I call them short-term rentals because I have one in Southwest Houston, and it's managed by Buzz, our friend V, that we all know real well. It stays booked constantly, and I've asked her, where are these people coming from? I thought they'd mostly be out of town people. It's local people keeping them rented. People remodeling their houses, people building new houses, people doing whatever, and they need a place to stay for extended. Kind of crazy out there. So let's talk about another one. Buying property and then owner financing it in your IRA. I've done quite a bit of that. I've done more of that than I've done rentals in my IRA, and I've hit some home runs. I've won case study of the year actually by doing the same one year after year after year because it's such a good one. But new people come, they don't remember it, so I do the same one. I bought 3 houses in Crosby, bought them all with my IRA, $9,000 each, $27,000 total. I've won case study twice. I came in second. I got rooked out of the deal one time. They were doing vote by text and all those. I was competing against a guy who was 20 years old. He had all of his buddies in there. They're all texting and they beat me. But and I got rookie dude on that one. But anyway, that $27,000 I paid for those 3 houses have 2 of those houses have sold and paid off. So I still have 1 owner finance note in my IRA from those 3. I don't know the exact number. It's over $200,000 that's gone back into my IRA over time from that. I bought them from the same guy. I bought 3, and now they're not pretty.
No,
but they were livable. They were livable, barely livable, but they were livable. And I sold all 3 of them owner finance notes. And that's just the down payment and the monthly payments have come back in, and it's over $200,000.
And you didn't do any repairs to them, did you?
Never did.
Because
anything.
the homeowner would have done.
I never did anything. I sold them to somebody that really needed a house with a $400 payment. And there's not a lot of houses with a $400 payment. And you go drive by the one I still have, and it's a whole lot better shape than it was the day I sold, because they've over time fixed it up, and the other 2 were too. But they eventually paid us off. They sold or refinanced, which paid us off. So, but owner finance notes in your IRA can be a golden thing, and we could spend 10 hours talking about owner finance sales here in the paperwork. But I like the low end. I like buying them at a very low price. It's hard to buy them for $9,000 today, but you can probably find $30,000 and $40,000 stuff still out there. Buy it with your IRA, turn around and own or finance it to somebody who has the means to fix it up, and you sell it higher than you paid. You sell it for market rate or a little higher.
Well, another thing that you said was they're in Crosby.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to go outside your backyard. Like you said earlier, real estate investing is math. Do the math. If the math works out correctly, you buy the property no matter where it's at.
Yeah. Okay. This is not a note buying class, but you can buy real estate notes with your IRA. I've done a fair amount of that. I still got a few in there, and I like that. I've got a lady in Channelview that I bought the note from her lender years ago. She's almost paid it off. She don't owe that much, but she walked in this office not long ago and said, "Hey, will you refi me and give me a little cash, out on this deal so I can do some things?" Because she's down to like $4,000 that she owes in principal. I said, "Well, how much you want?" She goes, "Well, I'd like to have 50. I want to refi and give her 50. So I'm throwing out the number too. We've not signed an agreement, but I think I'm probably going to refi and up to 35,000, which would give her 31,000 cash in her pocket. And it's a piece of property that's probably worth 100 over there in Channelview. So it's going to be my first time to refinance a note that I've had. Okay, so I'm going to refinance and do a cash out, and I'm plan to keep that in my IRA. Kind of a neat little thing. I got to probably talk to the Quest folks to make sure I do everything right. I don't want to get slapped around over there,
If anything, you guys always make sure you talk to the custodian of your accounts. Make sure you guys are in compliance.
Yeah. I don't want to be a hypocrite here and tell you I've done something when I hadn't, but I am really, really, really wanting to and going to probably do it in the next year. Join one of these apartment groups. Quest has a relationship with a guy that I like. I've never done business with Brad Sumrock out of Dallas. I really haven't done business with him, but I want to.
Yeah.
Okay. And I may sign up for his class, but I think they use the term syndication, and that's where they have a sponsor who finds the deal and he brings in 9 or 10 other folks in to put the money up for an apartment complex. I think I'm going to do one of those deals this year, and I'm going to do that out of my IRA.
You get a piece of the equity.
Yeah. You get part of the cash flow, you get a piece of the equity. When it sells, you get your percent equity back out. And I think they like to do them in at least $100,000, participation. I'm sure some of them do less than that.
Yeah.
But I'm probably going to do one of those in the next year.
It's a good option for someone who truly wants to maybe deploy their capital in a very passive way, but still get the return.
Yeah. So that's for joining a bigger group to buy an apartment complex or a commercial building. We talked early on about getting trained, and I said, hang out with the vendors, go to the meetings, but let's give a few people plugs that we know that we trust to do some training for folks. Because if you're starting out and you need some knowledge. Who's some of the people you would throw out that we partner with that we know?
Like people that do like mentor training.
Yeah.
You have Ehab Shokri with Rehab with Ehab.
Ehab, the rehab guy.
Yeah, and he talk about someone who understands short-term rentals. He does very well for himself. You have AC over Prosperity. You have quite a few.
Steve Davis at Total Wealth Academy.
Steve Davis does a great job. And he has a great radio show.
Yeah. Jason Bible, Mr. Texas Real Estate, does some training.
Robert
So that's some people for them. But come hang out with us. We do it too, but we don't, that's not a call. We don't charge for that.
Yeah.
We want you to use our money.
Yeah.
So we're a lender. Now, besides single family homes, flipping, I'm going to say the number one Quest activity over there, they're a lender.
Correct.
Okay. People have their money at Quest that used to be in their old 401k, and they loan it back out. Now, there's two ways to do it. They can do it themselves, right?
Yeah.
Joe Smith, Quest Trust Company client. Joe Smith can loan his own money, his own funds out of his IRA and do it himself, or he can loan it through Jet Lending and we loan it out for him.
Correct.
And there's pluses and minuses both ways. Any thoughts on that before I jump?
Yeah. So, when you have to take the calculation of risk, if you do it yourself, you're underwriting yourself, you're servicing yourself, you're managing yourself. You're even acquiring the borrowers yourself. When you deploy capital with a lender like Jet Lending, you already have an understanding of what the underwriting criteria is, what everything it's agreed upon, and what your money can be deployed with. You're notified on what property it is, the money is being used for. And the interesting thing, at least about Jet Lending, is no funds are commingled. So that one deal is collateralized with that one property. So you are still getting the same type of safety benefits of that. It just depends on how much risk you're willing to accept for how much return on an investment.
I'll use some different terminology because we're different people. I'm older. People out there watching probably don't realize that, but I'm older than you. If you do it yourself, you'll make a higher return. It's a fact. But if that deal goes bad on you, all of the effort and the time and the heartache and the losses are on you. If you loan it to somebody who quits paying you and you have to foreclose, the cost of that foreclosure, the liquidation of that foreclosure, the lost interest payments, the taxes that are due, the insurance that is due is all on you. So you got to take the good with the bad. Okay. If you loan it out to a company like Jet Lending and we loan it out to our client, if our client goes bad on us, we keep paying you and you get your money. Jet Lending has never missed an interest payment to a private individual. It's never missed an interest payment to Quest IRA account, and it's never missed a payment to one of our banks ever. So, but we have to loan it out. So we're going to, I'll just use like this. We're going to pay you this much and we'll loan it out of here and we make the spread. So you'll get a little bit less margin for your money. But if it goes bad, we're still paying you.
And that's the cost of doing that type of business.
Yeah. And we would, if the client goes bad, we handle everything. This market for sellers is so intense right now. We don't have many go bad. There's not much going bad out there. We're single digits last year. We're single digits year before on bad deals. But it's coming again one day where it's going to change, and our foreclosures will go up. Houses will be easier to buy, more difficult to sell. And that's not bad news, y'all. I honestly kind of welcome a change in the market. I'm tired of it being a seller's market and a frenzy to sell and harder to buy them. I'm tired of it. I'm ready to go back for a year or two like we had before. And that's okay. The key is making adjustments.
Now, you said something like so Quest IRA people, a good portion of them like to lend. And one day there will be a change in the market. There may be somebody watching today saying, I want to be a lender and I'd like to possibly even do it myself. What advice could you give them today to set up possibly like an operation to get ready to deploy a lot of capital? Because when the market turns, it's not the deals that are hard to find, it's the money. And sometimes the lenders get overwhelmed by people trying to get deals. What would you say to them?
You know, it's the first thing just jumping out. I don't know if I'm answering the exact question you asked or not, but the one thing that always jumps out to me, because it's not the first time I've got that question or some variation of that question. It's all about your paperwork that you have your attorney prepare. Don't, if I was going to be a lender for the first time tomorrow and Joe Smith from off the street comes to me and says, Eddie, loan me some money, I'm not going to use Joe Smith's paperwork. I'm going to use my paperwork prepared by my attorney. So the paperwork's never important as long as everything is smooth and good and everybody's happy. Paperwork don't mean much, to be honest with you. But the day that deal goes south, the day that you're no longer friends with Joe, the day Joe quits paying you, the day Joe files a lawsuit on you, the lender, and accuses you of something that you didn't do, your paperwork is everything. It's everything. So that's the thing that jumps out at me as a variation of the question. But I think whether you're going to buy houses, rent houses, buy notes, buy apartments through syndication, you got to get involved. You got to come to the Quest meetings. You got to come to the Jet Lending meetings. You got to go to AC's meeting. You got to go to Steve Davis's meeting. You got to go to Jason's meetings. You got to go to them all. And you'll, the first time you hear something, you learn a little bit. The second time you hear it's more, you learn a little more. None of us were this smart day one. And some of us are not this smart today. Some of us are not this smart today. But is that a question up there that is, I can't read it.
Yeah, it's just, but can and will Jet Lending lend a non-recourse loan onto an IRA?
That's a great question. If it's short term, if it's a short term deal and I like you, and Alex likes you, and Johnny likes you, and we like the deal, we will consider it. I do not have avenue today to loan you long-term money as a non-recourse. All of my sources of funds require recourse lending. But I'd consider it. We've done it. Surprisingly, we don't get as many questions for that as you would think we do, but we don't, or many inquiries. But I'd consider it if I like you and like the property we're loaning on and like the location, and it's short term meaning, 6 month or 12-month loan, we consider it, and we've done it. Okay. I don't know what other kind of questions we got, and I don't know, I guess somebody will jump in and tell us when we're out of time here. But I hope everybody's found this to be beneficial of what you can do. You got to take action. You got to get prepared, and come see us at Jet Lending. The third Wednesday, I think, is the 20th, October the 20th.
Yes, and that's a special one.
It's a special one. It's our yearly bring in Mark Dotzer, the economist, former head of the Texas A&M Real Estate Center. and he's the best speaker you'll ever hear.
And he's already told us he is going to spin a yarn about the economy and what to do.
We have it at Stampede, the country club at Highway 59 in Little York. It's free. It's free food. It's free beer. You just got to come listen to us for a little while. But that's special with Mark Dotcher coming again.
I mean, if you guys want to go to jetlending.com on the top. You can RSVP right now. We have an Eventbrite link. We are in Meetup. It's on our Facebook page. All these things for you guys to RSVP, because I'm telling you, when Mark comes in, it is an event.
He still owns the record for our crowd, which was right at 1,200.
Yep.
That was probably was 2019 when that happened. Yeah. Okay. Haley, I hope we did y'all well.
Always. Where's my camera? All right, there we go. We do have one question from one of our attendees. One of our attendees wants to know, can you share an example of a deal that wasn't as good as you had hoped, or one that went south, and how you handled it?
The one that jumps out to mind, I'm going to talk about it. It's a flip I did. And it was in Conroe, and it was on 1/3 of an acre. And it had a well and a septic. And that was very early on in my career. And I still own this house today. It's rented. But I learned very early on in my career that when you buy a house that has a well and septic on a small piece of land, this lot is small. It's 1/3 of an acre. And the septic has to be replaced, or the well has to be replaced. You got yourself a problem. Okay, because the amount of land to get the county to permit your septic is a challenge. And I never will, I'm going to say that would just jumps out. Well and septics, I'm not saying don't buy them. I'm saying that they're on small pieces of land. What's small? Less than 1 acre. Be aware you could be buying a problem if you have to replace one of them. That one comes to mind just like that. I still own it today.
And one more question. I don't see any coming in from the audience, but first of all, this has been a great presentation. It's always great to see kind of your insight of things because you're so intuitive, but obviously we're waiving account opening fees for the Roth IRA right now. Question for you. Do you invest with a Roth IRA? Have you done conversions? What's the value in that? Why do people out there really need a Roth IRA?
You asking me to answer that for you?
Oh yeah.
I have both. I have a traditional and a Roth. The Roth, it's a one-time tax event. It's when you set it up. And I'm certainly not the expert there, but it's a one-time taxable event. Then theoretically, unless the laws change or something, every dollar my Roth IRA makes forever is non-taxable, tax-free, non-taxable. It's no more taxable events in a Roth IRA after the first taxable event, which is when you set it up. Did I answer that to your satisfaction, Haley?
You did. Yes, that was good. So guys, everyone out there needs a Roth IRA. And if you're in Houston, definitely go to the Super Investor meeting. It's a great meeting. You guys have been doing it for over 10 years now. So it's been really cool to see it be so large and so consistent. If you have any kind of last closing thoughts for our audience, any last piece of advice for today, what would you like to share before we kind of wrap up today's presentation? Well,
you have to get educated, and we talked a lot about where to get educated. You're here on this event today, so hopefully you learn some things. But Alex, I think, said first, you got to take action. I mean, if you sit on the sidelines, you're going to be looking back in your rearview mirror one day, going, "Damn it, why didn't I take action?" And that's what me and your mother did in June of '99. We got active, and we've never looked back on this ride that we've had. And at 1,700 houses bought, I don't know where that puts me, but probably puts me in the top echelon of this. It's not more than everybody else. It's not more than everybody, but it's a big number. And we've had a good run with it. And I'm a walking billboard for appreciation. I'll say that over and over. I'll say it till I die, I guess, because it's true. But you have to take action.
I mean, you guys, there's a lot of people say, well, I want to wait till the market turns. That's speculation. Okay. So don't speculate. Get the education that you have. Take action with your money and make your returns. There's returns you could make in every market. So don't wait, because I mean, you're not making money with this stuff right now. You can make money today. We'll close 30, 40, sometimes almost 50 loans a month. People are finding deals. Go take action.
Haley, would you like for us to answer some of these other questions we didn't answer later? Just shoot us an email or send it to us somehow, and we'll try. I see some questions up here that didn't get answered.
Yeah, definitely. I was able to answer a lot of those kind of in the chat, but guys, if you have questions, reach out to Alex directly, alex@jetlending.com. And if you want a free Roth IRA, reach out to Quest. We're waiving those account opening fees through the end of the month, which is the end of the day, Thursday. So guys, thanks for joining us today. You always bring out a great crowd. So to all of our attendees, I hope you enjoyed it. And we'll see you all for Mark Dotzer at the Super Investor Meeting on October 20th. That's all I got. Y'all have a great day.
Thank
See
you.
you later.
Bye. Somebody asked me.